Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just going to carry on with the inner fender repair. Now we've got all this profile the way I like it. I'll show you measuring from here to the inner arch here on this spare one I took off my spare car. We've got to fabricate this rotted out piece at the bottom here. You can see that. There you go, it's just been all eaten away. And this is that lower section down here. It does have a flange, a return flange that I can attach to the inner wheelhouse. So let me take you down the shop. I'm going to make up a wooden form to be able to hammer this over. Okay, so let's go down there. So this is a great guide for our repair patch. So don't go throwing these away, because we've got to save these to repair and make a new one. And so that's why I brought you down to the wood shop, because I'm going to make up a form to hammer form this over, because I don't have an English wheel. I have a bead roller, but I'm not going to go out buying an English wheel for all these small parts, so we're going to have to do some hammer forming. So I cut out a piece of particle board representing this guy. I've already started to round it on the round over bit here, so then we can sandwich two boards together and I can hammer form over this. And all this is a simple round over bit on the router table. You could do this by hand or even by planing and sanding just to get the profile that you want. And I've done an inch thick, because that is where the return lip goes this way, you see. So it rounds over and then returns, and then that's where the welded outer wheel arch welds on. So I'm going to refine this upper edge, because this is a little bit more of a broader round over. I like this lower edge, and then I will get back to you. I'll do this by hand and then we'll see what the hammer form does. Alright, just a couple of minutes with the block plane just to shallow out this radius here, and then it increases in tightness here, and you can see this goes right onto there, and a little bit of fettling up there, you know, playing around with it after it's tacked on will work great. So I've got to go up and grab a piece of scrap metal, enough for us to roll around this edge. So let me go and do that and I'll get back to you. Now I've cut a support block on the back to hold it, clamped it in the vise into this big bench vise, and let's see how this forms. It's quite a bit of metal to move, so not sure how well this is going to curve around this radius, but we'll give it a whirl. Got to do it a little bit at a time. Okay, what I found here is that I've got to continually keep switching around, because I'm getting areas that are starting to fight me, plus trimming off some excess because I was fighting too much metal. But I'm starting to get it now. I'm just working on this corner, and then I'll show you, I'll take you out of the clamps and show you get on. So just concentrating on this area here, because it's fighting me right on this final detail here, and then we can just fold it to 90 degrees and then we'll see what we got. You can see I'm losing it a little bit here, but I can correct that, and losing it a little here, I can just flatten this off on the bench, and then we're getting very close. Very close to turning this edge, and then I'll just weld on the other edge, rather than, obviously can't fold that because that would be asking too much. So just flatten that little corner off there. And I think we're winning now. We're starting to really fold it over. This tighter edge where it kind of shrinks down in radius really fought me, because all the metal's kind of needing to go into that area. This was a little easier up here, so I'm just feathering it out. And obviously, because we're shrinking metal, okay, it's forcing it in, because this isn't going anywhere. If this wasn't here, this whole flat surface would have been buckled to hell. So this essentially is getting thicker, this metal, because it's shrinking it into itself. That's why it's pretty hard to remain in control without folding it and distorting it. Right, as you can see, we're getting a little bit creasy here, but I'll use the hammer and dolly and you know, be able to correct those in a more concentrated form. But you can see it's coming up quite nicely. The original is here. Obviously I made this a lot bigger here, but you can see it's following the curve quite nicely. A little bit of fettling when it's on the car. Looks like a lot of this I'm not even going to need, so we're looking really good. So it's good to make a bigger one because the ends really fight you. I think really the main thing is to stay patient and work it slowly, because it's taking a little while to get that curve. That's forcing all that metal to crunch down on itself to be able, so you can see it's trying to fold in on itself. But look at that, remains dead flat here. If I didn't have this backing board, this would all be unusable. So I'm going to work this with the old dolly on the bench, and I thought I'd try the body hammer as well, a little bit more concentrated, and we'll see what we can come up with here. So there we have it. I started to, you got to watch, you know, flattening these out too much, because then it starts to spread the metal and then you're going to get a thin edge here. So still got a slight deviation here, but I'm not worried too much about it, because obviously it's hidden and wrapped anyway. So I think that's come out pretty good, really, considering just with hand tools and a bit of wood and that. But so we've got plenty of meat here to be able to play with and put our bend flange on to be able to weld onto the car. And then what I've got to do now, probably do this off camera here, is essentially make a straight line cut along here and then weld on our extra flange. Okay, tack that on, and we can weld that both sides, clean it all up, and that's ready for spot welding to the outer fender. Right, I didn't bring my tripod up, so I can't set it up here. I don't know if it works. Okay, so I haven't got my tripod with me, but what I did, brought it back up and welded a flange onto it. So went over it a couple of times so I could essentially I flatten off and then round over, so I get not a sharp, dead sharp edge here. And then this black line is where I'm just going to trim it up and finalize it. And so now the fender can pinch weld straight to that guy. So let's take that over. This is going to go in here like so. And you can see, follows the, we've got to do a little bit of this business, you know, to follow the body line. And then probably bend this flange out a little bit to meet the fender. That's just a question of yanking it out and then clamping it once the other fender comes back in. So yeah, there's a lot of fussing around, but it seems to have come out pretty good. Plenty of extra, you know, so to tailor the fit. Right, now we've got the the basic piece made. I put a little tiny curve in here to replicate. I just did that by hand actually, and then bent this return flange that welds onto this receiving flange, and then I can put some holes in here to spot weld. But I've cut this already off camera, but as you know, we put our flange here, but it is a little wider at the top. Let me show you in closer and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so you can see what I mean. I need this, essentially, I'm trying to follow the curve of this guy here at the back, but I'm shy here. So I've made a slice cut here, so I can insert a tapering piece right here, just weld a little slither in. And let me get my tape measure and I'll show you. Okay, so this is the fender I took off of the other 108 that I have as a spare for body panels. Excuse me, feeling a bit rough today. I took the day off from regular work and I got ants in the pants this afternoon. I wanted to finish this video, or try to. Anyway, so the piece we're fabricating is around here, down on the inside to here. And just for reference, let me take a rough measurement just above this line here. So we're going to go from where our inner rocky is to here, just to check our measurements. So we're looking a 2 1/4 land on the edge. So taking up here, this straight line, we're approximately here 2 1/4, right, to this edge here. So yeah, that's 2 1/4, but you can see that this guy is falling short. And as it gets down to here, this does get closer to this. So this is okay in relation here. Let me take this measurement. Yeah, this is around 2 here, you see. Just over 2 1/8 maybe. So we have got a sort of slight taper. So that's easy enough. So what we'll do, we'll make sure that's flat here. Open this guy up. Probably bring that open a little bit more, and then put a wedge piece in there. So, and then we should be good. Weld this guy in, and then we can start building our way around here. If that makes sense. I want to miss out on anything. All I'm using is one of these just to kind of ease that out a little bit. So this kind of has a more natural flair to it. It's not just do this business. So it's more natural of a curve. Not that you're going to see any of this thing, but just so you know it's right, And then this obviously gets welded to my fender. So I'm thinking something like that. See, I've just got to weld a little piece in there, a little slither of metal. And then that should be a nice gradual widening as it comes up. Instead of trying to cut a triangular skinny piece like this, I think what's best to do is we'll weld this guy on here, right? Tack that in, and then we've got something firm to work with, and then we'll just cut the remainder off and then bring this in, and we'll weld that in like that, you see. That makes sense. So I'm going to clean this up a bit. Okay, see, I've just got that edge straight. I've put a couple of tacks in there, take the clamp off and make sure it's in right, and then weld it up. So welder set up for 18 gauge. On the titanium it is wire feed 145, and the voltage then is 16.5 for those. I've improved the grounding clamp on this. I've got a better grounding clamp. The other one was a bit naff, but so this one seems to be stronger and make a better contact. So let's put a couple of tacks on that. Right, just tool weld it, and let's just reassess. See? So now, get those magnets out there. Now we'll put it back on the job, make sure this, you can see this piece is at the right flare angle, and then we can cut it. See what I'm doing here? So we can cut it so it tapers up nice and it's natural and not a joggy step. Alright, excuse my crappy line, that's roughly where we've got to cut. So you can see how thin of a wedge we've got to put in. So I'll cut that with my old hand cutter here, and let's do it. Guess we could do it on here, couldn't we? There you go. So we can weld that edge up now. See? So it's widening slightly. Nice and gradual. I can tweak this a little bit before I do that. There you go. So let's try it on the car and see how it looks. Well, there you go. So I pinched it onto my patch that's down here. This is my straight edge of where the underside of the rocker goes. So that's my marker point. I just leave that there like that. And this is coming real nice. See the width now is sort of a better taper. This little curvature here, I can work it with my pair of pliers, just bending the metal out slightly. if you can see now, that black line is my trim line, so I'll trim that and blend it straight into this patch, and you can see this line is following nicely down to underside of the rocker here, which follows there, and then I just got to weld this up and patch it in, or tack weld it on the other side, and then I can spot weld in the jacking point and then look at breaking these spot welds free for this guy to put that guy on. But let me get that welded in, and I think that will be it for this video. So let me weld that in. Alright, so took a little while clamping that into position, get it right. I'm going to put a tack weld on this flat area inside here. I want to keep my seam as even as possible, because that's a body seam, even though it'll probably disappear under seal. But anyway, so just going to weld that guy up there. I've just got a few tacks on the inside here, okay, and then I can wiggle this back and forth to get this distance correct, and then I can work the metal to just bend it. I'm not going to weld any more in now. I can just bend this out and work it so it relaxes at this point. You don't want to force it and weld it, you want it relaxed. So I'm just going to put a little weld in here because I've measured this distance and it's the correct distance. So I'm just going to tack at the bottom and then build myself in. Oh, I forgot to turn the camera on now. I've been spot welding here. I had to cut a bit of metal back in because I can't get the torch in there. So just a little strip of metal off there. Spot weld there, and then I can, that's better. Okay, so that's pretty anchored there now. So now we've got to just, I'll work the metal on. See, now I'm not disturbing the rest of it. I can work it, get a pair of pliers on that and just work it out. See, now I'm just using this clamp to kind of flex this metal out and level it to here. And all this weld on the back side, I'm going to reinforce once I take this guy out. Obviously I have to lift this in for the time being for a reference point. Once this is all to my liking, then this comes out, and then once that's out I can really, you know, make sure this is all sealed up nice, do a better job on those spot welds on the inside there if they need it. But yeah, just play with this basically so it just lands without any stress really. Like I say, that gap there, wish that wasn't there, but I'll be able to fill it. Like I say, you have to stay patient doing this sort of stuff, to say the least. But so now to cut this overlapping flange to there, I'm going to cut on an angle like an attack cut that way. Whoops, there we go. Attack cut that way, and then that will drop into that, and then I'll weld it, and then I'll finish welding up that hole there. Let me put you back on a tripod. Okay, so they should level out nicely. Now I've cut in. Come out pretty good, and we'll weld that hole up and then finish in there, and then we can't really do much more in here until this is out. Now, in an ideal world, obviously you don't want a hole, but you're gonna get this every now and then, areas like so, that you're gonna have to deal with. Right, I've tried to level that as best I can with a little punch at the back here.
Let's see if we can fill that in. I'm going to try and attack it on this edge and build over to here. Getting a bit hot there. I'm able to get into here until this comes out, so that's that all done. One other thing before I go, fantastic tool, not sponsored by anybody, did get this from Eastwood, but really good because again you're not using the compressor kicking on all the time, that can be a bit annoying, but the 1/2 inch one, that much more service, removes material really quick. But do yourself a favour, the blades that come with it are the paper that comes with it is not the greatest. Just buy the 3M Cubitron. This I think 60 grit, and this stuff just keeps going and going. It cuts extraordinarily well, and as I've said before, don't go for the super aggressive 36s because they seems to break off really quickly and get smooth quick. So the 60 and the 80 grit is a sweet spot. So if you're in the market for one of these electric ones, I'd highly recommend it. I mean, getting right into places you'd never be able to get to with other sanders. So there you go. I think that's it for today. So I say I'm going to finish off this. You've seen me do welding and all that. That's just finishing that off once I get access. But all that's all tied in now. Give it a few wraps here just to make sure, and then probably before we put the outer fender on, we'll straight line this edge, cut all the waste off so it pulls it all together as one. So I think that's it for the video today, guys. Appreciate it. I didn't expect to do it all today actually because I was having a sick day, but I don't like sitting around, even though I should do a bit more of that. Well, thanks all for watching, guys. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and please comment away. You know, if you've got any input, I've really appreciated some of the input I've gotten from you guys. So yeah, that's it. I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye bye.